You know, we think of America's national parks as these beautiful, majestic places. And they are. But for hundreds of people, they're the last place anyone ever saw them. We're going to dive into this really unsettling pattern that suggests something more is going on than people just getting lost. It's like they just vanish.
I mean, why do people vanish? It sounds simple, right? People wander off, they get lost, accidents happen. But what happens when those explanations just don't add up? When the facts of a case just refuse to fit?
And that's where this whole mystery really kicks off. You see, out of all the thousands of missing person cases that get resolved, there's this weird little subset that stands out. These aren't just random tragic accidents. No, they follow a pattern. A pattern that is so specific and so strange, it honestly just defies all logic.
Now, this whole pattern isn't something someone just cooked up around a campfire. It was actually pieced together, bit, by a guy whose entire job was to see the things nobody else did.
And that man's name is David Paulides. We're talking about a detective with 20 years on the force. So after he retired, he took that detective's intuition and aimed it squarely at these really bizarre cases. He wasn't just cataloging accidents. No, he was hunting for connections, for a hidden signal in the noise. And what he found? Well, that's what we now call the missing 411 phenomenon.
So what is this pattern? Well, you can think of it like a criminal profile, but for something else entirely. It's this set of really weird, recurring factors that link cases that seem totally random. Cases that are separated by decades and, thousands of miles. So let's break down the elements of this creepy profile.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the victims themselves, specifically where and how they're found. So many of these cases happen in what Paulides calls cluster points, these specific spots on the map that just seem to attract disappearances. And when they're found, if they're found, it's often miles from where they went missing, in places that searchers already combed through like multiple times. Then you get the really weird stuff. They're often found in or near water, and get this, a lot of the time they're missing their shoes, even in the dead of winter.
And it's not just the victims, the environment itself plays a super weird role. A lot of these disappearances happen near boulder fields. And almost like clockwork, right after the person goes missing, the weather just turns nasty, making the search that much harder. But here's the kicker for me. The search dogs, some of the best in the world, often can't find a single scent. It's as if the person was just plucked right out of there. This is way beyond a simple hiker getting turned around.
But look, this profile isn't just a list of strange facts on a page. Behind every single one of these data points is a real person, a family whose lives were turned upside down. So let's make this real. Let's look at 3 absolutely chilling cases that fit this pattern perfectly.
First up is Dennis Martin. He's just 6 years old. Imagine this. It's Father's Day 1969. The family is out and the kids are playing a game of hide and seek. For just a split second, the adults look away. And when they look back, Dennis is just gone, vanished in seconds.
This happened in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And the response? It was huge. It became the single largest search operation in the history of the Park Service. They brought in 600 soldiers, even elite Green Berets, to sweep the area.
And after all that, the biggest search in the park's history? Absolutely nothing. Dennis Martin was just never found.
Okay, now let's jump forward in time to 2014. We've got another little boy, Dior Coons, just 2 years old. He's at a campsite in Idaho with his family. His great-grandfather glances away for literally a moment, and when he turns back, Dior, who was standing just 30 feet away from him, has vanished.
And again, you see the same pattern. A huge search gets underway, 300 people scouring the area for weeks on end. But just like so many other of these cases, the cadaver dogs, they found nothing. No scent, not a single trace.
And just like Dennis Martin, even though he was just feet from his family, even with that massive search effort, Dior Kuntz was never found.
Okay, our third case is a little different, and honestly, maybe even more baffling. It's the story of Derek Ennis, a 14-year-old who disappeared on a trail in New Hampshire. But here's the twist. Unlike the others, he was actually found. Now, Derek wasn't some rookie. He was a fit, experienced hiker. He was found alive after 3 days, which is amazing, but he was 26 miles from where he started. And experts who looked at the terrain said there's just no way. It would have taken him days and days to cross that kind of ground. And here's the really chilling part. When they asked him what happened, how he did it, he had no idea. He had no memory of it. He couldn't explain how he got there, how he crossed 26 miles of what should have been impossible terrain.
So these stories are absolutely terrifying all on their own, right? But the plot thickens, because when investigators tried to dig up official data to see just how big this pattern was, they stumbled onto something that might be even more disturbing.
So, David Paulides did what any good investigator would do. He filed a Freedom of Information Act request, a FOIA request, with the National Park Service. He asked for something that sounds pretty simple, just a list of all the people reported missing in the parks. The response he got back was just wow. The National Park Service, the agency in charge of all this land, basically said, sorry, we don't have a list like that.
Yeah, you heard that right. Zero. Not a single federal agency, not the Park Service, not the FBI, nobody officially keeps a running tally of how many people go missing in our national parks. There's just no official master list. It's kind of mind-boggling.
And that just leaves you with one big hanging question, doesn't it? Why? Why wouldn't you keep that list? Is it just bureaucratic incompetence? Or is it something else? Are they trying to hide something? Or maybe, the scariest thought of all, is there something happening out there in the wilderness that they genuinely don't understand and really don't want us to know about?